For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Camping and Leisure with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a review on a camp product. So this is basically a testing whole scenario of the Kampa Gale pump. So it's a 12-volt electric pump which is designed to pump up awnings, tents or even inflatable party tents. So there's a whole, numerous amounts of items you can use with this thing. It's actually one that replaces Kampa's breeze pump, which you might have seen our review video on as well, but it's meant to be a quicker and faster version of that, so we'll see about that. It's one that Kampa have actually designed themselves, so the difference is, again, the breeze is something like an off-the-shelf item that the manufacturer Kampa get made offer them. This is something they've actually spent a lot of time and effort into making sure it works efficiently, quickly, and also keep the price down to something that's a bit more affordable. You've got quite a nice little digital screen here, an off and on button which will actually obviously start it, plus and minus which allow you to alter the, what sort of pressure you want to put inside there, and a tab bottom just to change the units. So majority of the time I tend to work in PSI, that's what Kampa tend to go to. And so what I'll do is set this up about 12 PSI, let it go and see how quickly it puts up this brand new Ace all weather. It's a 12-volt cigarette lighter, comes with about approximately 5 meters of lead on there as well. And actually the joys of it, you can actually just plug it straight into the car, pump it up and it's all good to go. So what I've done to sort of simulate this is give a leisure battery here. Now the hose part is actually a much more industrialized hose than you might have seen with the Breeze in Classic. You've got a proper screw thread on the part as well as multiple different adapters. There actually is a new adapter that Kampa have put on here which will actually screw onto a Boston valve. So pretty much all of Kampa's valves, majority of valves you see across all air market awnings and tents will use a Boston valve. So this actually screws onto it. But to be honest, for the test I'm going to use the general fitment you'll find on your normal sort of action hose pipe. So this part simply just threads on, twists on like so it's nice and secure. And then that's just going to go straight onto the front parts. So what I'll do now, literally all I've done actually is just thread this awning on, so it's pretty much as fresh, so it's a bit more of a proper test. So let's seal all of the valve parts off, just to make sure I'm not going to suddenly inflate it, but I get caught by the rope. So you've got 4 on this one here. There you are. So that's actually just bringing it out a little bit, just so, and I'll actually, to be fair, I'll peg the back down just as it, keep it nice and stable against the caravan. Right, so insert the pump into the 1-point inlet, make sure that valve's nice and tight, it is. On it goes, get my power source. So we'll set it to about 12 PSI and see how long it takes to get it up there. And it's worked. So it is a compressor pump, so actually it's going to be probably a bit more louder than you would hope it to be. But the main thing, obviously, it means you can sit back, relax, and let it do the work for you. So, like I said, one thing it'll probably do is it's better at getting volume in. The Breeze was a 2-stage pump, so we had basically 2 settings, one for volume and one for basically increasing the pressure. This works on a bit better scenario that it just keeps thrusting air in, and that should, in theory, be quicker. So the joys of this actually means that because it's quite a unique pump, it can actually work with multiple different models. So it runs with any sort of camper range of awning or tent or inflatable pie tent. And I've actually personally pitched a big 4x8 inflatable pie tent up on my own, used this pump, and I think it's about 10 minutes to pump the whole thing up, which for the amount of air tubes we got now was actually, I found, really impressive. And so it means you can make it yourself a sort of one-man band with that. So you can actually I can actually hear a little bit of difference in the tone to the actual compressor pump now, so it's actually thrusting a bit more air. So we're now looking at, we're about 1.5 PSI. The trick really with this is when you get to about 4 PSI, you can kind of get the awning into shape. That way you can leave it pumping up and it's going to keep going, and it will cut out when it gets to the allocated PSI that you set into the pump itself. We're now looking around about, what we call it here, nearly about 3 PSIs. We're not doing too badly. I mean, I've got on the stopwatch, what have we got on the go here? 1 minute 45, which is, you know, pretty good going. So let's have a look, better look. So now we're about 4 PSI, and it's much easier to say just to quite simply, at this point it will happily freestand, and it's actually 4 PSI is pretty darn strong. Crikey, go on. In you go. Smooth this out of the way just a bit. So once the awning's actually in its position, you can start actually pegging it and going out, and that will save you an awful lot of time. Just make sure it's nice and neat and square. That's better. So like I said, it's still cranking the pressure up, but it does make it much easier, and you can carry on pegging around, and you know, while it's still increasing pressure. The joys of the actual Gale pump and any actually sort of compressor pump is it'll get up to a higher pressure than you will with the stirrup pump, which you get supplied with the awning. So, I mean, yeah, again, it might be a little bit slower in comparison, but obviously you can sit back, relax, watch it go up. But the main thing is once you obviously get up to pressure, it's much firmer. I mean, you can quite happily go gun-ho on the actual pump you get supplied with it, but as you obviously get to a firmer pressure, you get higher resistance. So you get to a point where really, obviously you'll deteriorate in terms of your strength because you've been going so long, but then also the pressure increases. So the longer it gets, the harder it gets as well. So that's where a pump like this is pretty good. And certainly something like this sort of size awning, I think is a really nice purchase just to add on to it and just take a bit more hassle out of it as such. So it's 9 PSI now, and we're looking at 3 minutes 45. Like I said, one thing to bear in mind as well is like you can't actually use this particular pump with any of the Vango awnings due to the valve system. The way that Kampa have made this bit more industrialized is by using like a proper screw thread, to which all of the adapters, and that means it just means that with the Vango fitment, it won't actually fit on the awning itself. And one thing you will know is because you've got so many adapters, you can use it pretty much anything other. So inflatable kayaks, like I said, tents, awnings, gazebos. If you want to use it for your airbed, you could do. So it's not only a one-purpose thing. Nearly there. But yeah. So the joys of it is you can leave it to do its thing and quite happily just carry on pegging it and say it'll cut out when it gets to a point. I mean, we're looking at about just getting up to about 11 PSI, so it'll cut out any minute now. But you think about as it is, and that's un-guy roped, anything like that. That's pretty solid, you know. And that's one thing you do benefit from, like I said, going for the compressor pump is you'll get it firmer than you will with a hand pump. And you can always check out we do 2 pitching videos of this particular awning, and majority awnings we do, one with a manual pump and one with electric pump. There we go. Boom, we are finished. So yeah, just over 5 minutes for a big, nice Ace awning. So, you know, it's the 3 meters wide, 4 meters deep depth, sort of one of the bigger models that they do. So I think actually that, to be fair, is quite a drastic improvement. Check out the Breeze one as well, just as a comparison, but I'm quite impressed with that actually. Like I said, I've pumped up bigger things than this and I've been, again, still impressed. And it's much more simpler system to go, but that is pretty much, that's rock solid now. Yeah, nice pump. Like I said, one we normally have on stock at Attwoolls. You can buy it on the link below as well, but overall, I think that's probably a double thumbs up for that one. But yeah, that is the Kampa Gale pump as tested with a nice Ace Air 400 all-season awning.